Yo, welcome back to Mirror Audio XYZ podcast goodness. This is your host, Erica Lee Marie, and my hair does not make any sense. Nonetheless, I just got done doing my very first live on Facebook, and I kind of want to talk about the feelings surrounding something like that in terms of jitters, I guess you can kind of say. I think it's one thing to create content where you're not getting instantaneous feedback, kind of like a video, like you could edit it to your liking. Podcast, like sometimes you don't see my face, things of that nature. Like it's comfortable, whereas going live, you see how many people are tuning in, people are hitting the likes and doing the hearts and commenting, and like you're trying to interact with them but try to get your story across. Like I felt a little overwhelmed, and like at the end of it I was only on for 15 minutes and like my armpits are like crying, and it was very much all over the place. But even after all of that, I'm rather proud to actually put forth the initiative to do it, because I basically popped the cherry. So what is the path forward moving on with that, or moving forward with that, is continuously doing it. I don't know what that necessarily looks like for my Facebook, because I have my personal account and then I have my public figure account, and I feel with like a lot of the topics that I would like to discuss, I could pretty much delve into it on my public figure page, because like my podcast stuff, like it talks about more in-depth things, but I guess I can probably use this opportunity to kind of delve a little bit more into the topic that I had on my Facebook. Now that like my jitters, like see, now I'm within my comfort zone, like my heart is beginning to chill, like I'm not sweating as much, and I just think it's very interesting. But I think because by nature I'm easily stimulated by a whole bunch of things, and like I was forewarned that you kind of have to have like ADD and you have to like pay attention to like every little thing, but I'm just like, ooh, oh boy. But the topic was, wow, the thought just escaped me. The topic was labels upon women. So the conversation that I had with an individual was, he is a rapper, he wanted me to post his song on my page, and whatever. With me personally, I'm not going to post anything that does not coincide with my message, my beliefs, anything that piques my interest, etc., because my page isn't about you, my page is about me and the message that I want to have on that particular page. So I'm listening to it. The first half of the song I was vibing with, because he's talking about like his upbringing and how his parents passed away and he had to sleep on the floor like with his brother, this, that, or the other. And then for the second half of the song, it just went completely left, and he's talking about like a bitch like choking on his semen. Sorry that was a bit X-rated, but all in all, like, imagine how I felt like listening to it. I'm like, you want me to share this on my page? So I messaged him letting him know that this is actually not something that coincides with my message, coincides with my page, and I'm not going to be posting it whatsoever. And it seemed like he was okay with it, but then I felt like he kind of got in defensive mode and was trying to justify his reasoning for that. He tried to throw some Beyonce in there, like, oh, she's always bashing men and all this other stuff, and there's a difference between women and ladies versus hoes, sluts, and kind of that whole spectrum. And I'm like, no, they're all women. They are all women, except that their backgrounds are simply different. Like you have to get to the root as to why they turned out the way that they did. It's not just like genetically, boop, you just were born and you were extra thoughty. Like, no, these are learned characteristics. So basically, I was talking about, during the messages with this young individual, I was saying how, what if some of these women were broken? What if they were cheated on? Maybe they just didn't have a role model that they could truly rely on to like show them what it meant to be what you call a woman or a young lady or something that isn't necessarily slutty or anything of that nature. And for him to try to use Beyonce, I think he was trying to, one, relate to me, expecting me to be like some huge Beyonce fan or something. That is not the case. I'm actually a huge Jhené Aiko fan, but nonetheless, I digress. That's not okay. But the thing is she's been in the game for a hot minute. And sad but true is before she became such a huge like entity as to what she is, when it came to companies or the industry or this, that, or the other, and music, songwriters and such, that was created for her to put her voice on. And I don't think she had a whole bunch of say-so on what type of content was going to be put out there. And when it comes to like Nicki Minaj and this, I know that her ex used to write a lot of her stuff, and it's like something that's supposed to catch your attention. And the sad part is when it comes to like the media and these music artists, etc., 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 that is what so many of our youth basically consume. They consume it on a regular basis, and they think that's how they need to be. Young boys feel that they need to call women bitches and all this unnecessary stuff, and then girls think that they need to like twerk and pop and all these other various things in order to get a guy's attention. I don't understand. And here is this person who has a voice and has a talent, and I feel is not using it in a more productive way. He said, oh, well, I'm giving the people what they want. I said, instead of giving people what they want, why don't you give people what they need? They've already seen people talking about drugs and hoes and all this other various stuff. Why don't you be different? Or you just see everything that they have and that's what is luring you to them. You have the ability to impact the masses. What are you doing to help these supposed sluts and hoes and thotty girls? Like, did they come from broken homes? Were they sexually abused? Like, what does that look like? For you to discredit the pain that they have personally gone through, and you're supposed to be influential, I'm not seeing it. And I think it was very interesting that this individual was mentioning that they help the homeless and they donate and they had charity event and all these other various things. I'm like, you're trying to justify your labeling. And he tried to tell me that, well, you attract like-minded people. But I'm just like, if this young individual is choking on whatever you got going on, what are you attracting? And why are you bragging about this? Because what if you were on the receiving end? What if you were the guy being cheated on? Were you the guy being cheated on? What of the girl? What made her in her mindset think that this is okay? Everyone wants to talk about the chapter 35 instead of paying attention to the preface or the freaking prelude to the story as to how they came to be. What is their history? Every single person on this planet has a different story on how they came to be what they are. I had to put in the personal initiative to listen to motivational talks and motivational speakers and TED Talks and all these other various things, and I consumed it and I applied that knowledge. I have a stronger will compared to someone else who just tries to go through the motions, and in her mind's eye, she's probably thinking that she's surviving when in actuality, she's barely keeping her head afloat. And for guys that have those condescending terms, what happens when you have a daughter? What does that look like? Or are you even going to be in the daughter's life? Like, what does that look like? I feel like if you're trying to be a ripple starter, what does that look like? And where are you starting the ripple? Because I feel like what this individual is doing compared to what he is saying, because a lot of the stuff that he said was just like, oh yeah, bitches is like a derogatory term. I'm like, then why are you using it? And you're saying that you have another song coming out that is uplifting queens. Why are you going to segregate women? Why do we have to be put in these individual categories when we're all women? Oh, she's a queen. oh, she's a young lady, oh, she's a hoe, oh, like, why? Why? We each have a story and we need to be uplifting every single person as a whole instead of separating them, creating these categories and basically say, you're below me, or maybe you're at my level and oh, you're like a 10 and you're up here. What does that look like for our youth? And having the medium that you have to create your content, to me, it sounds like you're abusing the opportunity that you have. And I'm not okay with that, personally. And that's why I do this. Like, I want to be the person that I didn't have growing up. I have been called a hoe, I've been called a slut, I've been called all these other various things, and this was before I even lost my virginity. Like, kids are mean. I'm not understanding it. And I didn't have anyone to confide in. I didn't have any outlet, so everyone thought I was just walking around angry. I'm like, no, you don't know what it's like to be me and to have those labels on me, and I'm not even doing anything close to what these supposed hoes and such are doing, but I'm labeled as that. I was on the receiving end of that. I'm failing to see it. And I was slightly annoyed when he was just like, yeah, he was giving me feedback, by the way. He said, oh, you should talk more about weight loss and like you're influencing young Black women. I'm more than just weight loss, and I told him, I was like, thank you for letting me know that is just one small stepping stone to basically influencing whom I'm able to reach out to. But I made it a point that I'm not defined as like some fitness enthusiast and all I do is fitness. You're basically trying to tell me to stay in my lane is how I'm taking it. That's probably not the intention, but basically stick to your lane. I'll focus in on music and the music industry and you focus on looking cute and growing your ass. Well, I'm actually more intellectual than you probably think, but duly noted. What are my podcasts about? What is all of this for? To vocalize, to let people know that they aren't alone, to let you know that you are more than a freaking label, to let you know that everyone has a backstory, and if you are more open-minded to ask questions and to get to know an individual, to understand how they are the way that they are, and if they need help and they don't know how to ask for help, to provide it. Ask, do you need help? How can I help you? You're acting this way because you are either taught this or you think that maybe this is how someone else will love me because I failed to love myself. Instead of categorizing people and basically running with emotions of that, why don't you be the change? And I keep doing this and I keep talking with my hands, but I'm just like, I'm failing to understand. I'm failing to understand it. Either you're a part of the trend or you're a trendsetter. On that note, if any of this pretty much resonates with you, please hit that like. If you would like to see more of this content, hit that subscribe button. I am noticing that I'm getting a greater response to you guys seeing my face compared to just seeing my logo. So I'll probably have like a healthy balance, if not more of my face basically provided to you on my content moving forward. I pay attention to a lot of things, but all in all, if you feel that someone has been labeled or categorized or this, that, or the other, share it with them because I see you. And if you need some type of support system, all my ways of getting in, or all of the ways that you could get in contact with me are down below. I'm here for you. I am that support system that I didn't have and I'm providing it elsewhere. So please, please, please remember to give yourself permission. Have a great day.